Do you want to live more sustainably but aren't sure where to start or how it fits in with your everyday living? The ReNewy Living Podcast simplifies sustainability so you can feel confident to take small, meaningful actions that fit into your lifestyle. Based on the lands of the Awabakal and Worimi people in Newcastle, Australia, you'll learn how to live lighter on our planet through practical ideas, stories from like-minded people, and examples of businesses doing great things. With an open heart and mind, join me, Marty Lee, as we explore how to consume less, build stronger community connections, and thrive in your neighbourhood, wherever you call home. Welcome to the ReNewy Living Podcast. Hello, I'm Marty Lee, and welcome to the ReNewy Living Podcast. Have you heard about the slow food movement? It's a global movement that believes that everyone has the right to good, clean and fair food. Helping us understand the movement from a localised perspective is Amorelle Dempster. The grassroots organisation helps to connect people to where their food comes from and why it matters. Hello, Amorelle.
Hello, Marty.
The slow food movement is a global food movement, as I said in the introduction, with localised chapters. How did you become involved in slow food, specifically in Hunter Valley?
Okay, so I came to live in the Hunter Valley in about the year 2000. So we moved as a family, made a conscious choice to make a sort of tree change, I guess, or, move to a farm, get a different alternative sort of lifestyle to our living in Sydney. And Hunter Valley, is surrounded by this beautiful Hunter River that, it's in the middle of the valley and this gorgeous farmland. And I started to think about, where was all the food being grown? And if this food was being grown on the floodplain, the floodplain and, all this beautiful fertile land, where was it for, where do we purchase it from? Where do we get the local food? And so I started to investigate and found that, through the slow food movement that once, we got involved, we set up a new sort of group here in the Hunter, that we could then start to connect with the farmers, find out where the food was being grown and why was it that we were not able to access that food and what really happened to the food that was grown here.
So you really found that there was a problem, that you couldn't access any of the local food that you could see that was being grown around. And so you did your own research about slow food. Is that how it came about?
Well, I had joined the slow food movement in Sydney, but it was more about enjoyment of food in Sydney, So we'd look at, say, a beautiful, say, a heritage pork variety, and we might have a dinner about it. And so it's more like a dinner club. But I really found that when I came to live in the Hunter Valley, that really it was all about where that food came from and how do we access it.
When you moved from Sydney, one of the challenges that you found moving to the Hunter Valley is the expectation that everyone was self-sufficient and could grow their own food.
Yes, well, I thought that was the ideal till we started to grow our own food and found that was actually quite difficult because we moved in the drought and there was hardly any water, and it just brought home to me how difficult it would be to grow your local food, because I thought everyone who lived in the country would have a little patch and they'll be growing their own food. We'd all be sharing and bartering, etc. But, the Green Revolution did a lot of damage to the small-scale farming. And people in the country still buy their food from the supermarket because the farms disappeared in the country. And with that, the knowledge of growing food as well has disappeared. And so people, that was an ideal that was really shattered pretty early, and was also another reason why I felt that it was really important with starting the slow food movement, to be able to teach people how to grow food again, to learn from the experts, to come to bring people together in whether it's the, Hunter Organic Growers Society or the Biodynamic Farming Group or or slow food or whatever, to bring people with existing knowledge together to teach people, whether you're in the country, the city, the regional area, wherever, we really need to teach people to grow food. So that was pretty much a motivator as well, just for my own sake, to learn more about how to grow food and not kill it, so that we could be self-sufficient in the same way as we could teach many other people to be self-sufficient.
Growing vegetables is harder than you think. Depends on the vegetable. Like, I have much success with my snow peas and my French beans or the dwarf beans. But things like corn, I feel like I'm just growing that for the possums.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's right. The corn is definitely for the possums or the rats.
Yes.
Well, if you're growing them on the farm, they're for the rats. But corn, I've been growing coloured corn only so I can win the first prize of the Maitland show each year. Nobody else grows it.
That's one way to win it.
And we're very competitive when it comes to the horticulture displays. But then again, I feel that it's a way of displaying something that is unusual. And it makes great polenta. I take it down to the organic flour mill at Organic Feast, and they put it through the mill, and I make great polenta with it. So it's not all about the show, but it does enable me to win first prize each year.
Oh, congratulations for that. But now I'm sure there'll be many contenders. You've still got some growing time.
I've still got some growing time. Yes, I hand the seeds out in the hope that others will compete as well. As you say, it's really hard. I mean, your potatoes get burrowed in by the rats, and they eat your potatoes. It's tough, but it's there's great joy though. I mean, when you harvest your eggplant and your tomatoes and corn and I grow a lot of like snow peas and things on trellises because I've got a very small backyard. So yeah, it's ideal and it's just very lovely. So I decided that with a group of friends we'd start Slow Food here in the valley as a way of getting to know the farming community and then finding out what really was happening. So we sort of mapped out who was doing what and got to know the farmers and then sort of started to work at that very grassroots level as to finding out how we can get that food to the local community and really understanding that most of the food that was grown here actually left the town, left our region, went to the wholesale markets, and then the farmers themselves were at the mercy of the wholesale markets as to what price they might receive for what they produced.
What you've done is had all of these disjointed parts of your community in the producing community, done your research and then brought them all together as part of Slow Food.
Correct. So with the philosophy of good, clean and fair food for everyone, then we started to ask the questions about, how do we get the community accessing the good, clean and fair food that was being produced here, that we discovered was being produced. And then we found that the farmers didn't really have access to the local community. I mean, where do you sell your product if you're a local farmer?
And when you're a farmer, your main mission is to do your farming, and then there's the business side of it of how do you sell your produce as well.
Yeah, and having a place to sell it. We don't have the local region, community markets anymore. I mean, yes, there are some, but we in a town, say like in Maitland or Singleton, in the Upper Hunter, there are not places where people come together, like in the sort of culture that I was brought up in Sri Lanka, for example, where there was always a market. Someone grew something, they brought it, and there was a weekly market. You bought fresh produce for that day or that week. So I'd grown up in a culture of markets, and I found that, in living here in the Hunter Valley, that there wasn't a market that you could go to buy the food that was grown right there. So for me, I guess it was just a transition really, and finding, well, this, the fresh food markets are so beautiful and, where everything's fresh, everything tastes so much better, everything's local, there's less food miles. And this was a way of saying, well, we can do it here. We have farmers. Let's make that accessible to everybody. So the philosophy enabled us to really connect the dots and to bring together food for the local community.
So now what that looks like is your solution as Slow Food Hunter Valley is to bring that all together and have a Maitland Earth Market.
Correct. So the Earth Market is a group of markets that are held all around the world based on the slow food principles, where the Earth Market reflects food that is just grown locally. So for us here in Maitland, it grows in a 100-kilometre radius. So we can access food from Dungog, from Singleton, from the valley, from the Central Coast, etc., because that's all very much part of a local food system that is here. It's vibrant and it's available. It just wasn't accessible. So the Earth Market has enabled us to bring those farmers, those small-scale artisans, producers, etc., to a central location, which we do twice a month, and to help them as a way of sort of incubating and developing the food system here in the Hunter Valley. So it's a really nice sort of way to connect community with the local farming community, plus make available just simple local food.
It's a real farmers market, isn't it, that Earth Market?
Correct.
Because when I visit up there, it's you are actually talking to the producers, to
Correct.
the creators and the makers of the food. You know, bread made by the local organic shop. There was actually a farmer there from, I think it's Nebo Farms.
Nebo Farm, correct, yes.
And his farm, I didn't even realise how local his farm is.
And we're very lucky to have them because they're, they farm on about 60 acres. So it's no way a very large farm. But when we first discovered them, they were pretty much growing about 5 crops. And if one of them sort of, was damaged in flood, for example, like an entire pumpkin crop, well, that's about a fifth or about half of their income that would be lost. So we were able to, as Slow Food, to bring the idea of biodiversity to that farm, to talk about many varieties of food, not just the one variety. Even if you're growing pumpkins, let's grow many varieties. And that sort of enabled other farmers to understand that you can grow varieties and that people don't want monoculture. If they wanted monoculture, they could go to the supermarket. But in a farmer's market, you have this opportunity to sell 10 beautiful baby blue pumpkins that you might grow. But there's a community of people who might remember those from days gone by and might buy them. And also it's a way of sort of increasing the biodiversity of food in the community, giving people greater choice, having more varieties, having, and introducing younger people to older varieties that have so much flavour, have so much provenance and so much part of the terroir of this region. So it's so important, so it's just not just a market. It's all about sort of what we can bring to this incredible area in terms of enriching not just the lives of the farmers, but enriching the life of the people as well.
What kind of stories do you hear from people who visit the Earth Markets, buy the produce, and then return to the Earth Markets like in a fortnight's time?
Well, we have this growing number of people now who are discovering us, and they just love the flavour and the fact that they can connect with the person who actually grows it or makes it. I mean, I think that's really essential because then there is the credibility of the product. It's not being purchased to sell at that store. It's actually physically being grown, watered, nurtured, and that's being, taken care of. There's a certain pride in buying, say, a beautiful cauliflower or a romanesco or a pumpkin, whatever it is, and people say they don't waste it because they know the effort that has gone into producing that one vegetable.
Yeah, there's absolutely a lot of value in it.
Absolutely, more than just what it is. There's so much more than what it is. And I think people connect with the farmer. We call in slow food, we call it, being a co-producer, taking ownership for just, coming into partnership with that farm. And when you buy it, you're sort of coming together to make it's not just a transaction. It's more than a transaction. It's more a commitment to sort of supporting not just a local farmer, but supporting the land that it was grown on, the soil, understanding the water that's required, and just hearing their story. So I think that really there's a lot of storytelling in everything that is at the earth market. And you can spend a lot of time hearing the stories over and over again, because as the seasons change, of course, there comes a whole new story to how that might have been produced, because farming, as we know, or producing things, is affected by the weather, the amount of sunlight, the amount of rain, the amount of, clean air, the amount of energy that goes into producing that. So I think, and the story of the people that work on the farms, how they come together, how they nurture it to bring that to you. So I think, the stories are wonderful. And I think that's why people continue to come, because they connect so much to it.
And I also think there's real value in having a local producer and farmer with the local community, because when there's produce that's not available and the farmer says, well, it's because we've had so much rain, or we've had extreme wind, or we've had extreme heat, then the local community can understand that way better, because they've also experienced that as well, and go, okay, I get it.
That's right.
And that adds to that real meaningful story.
I think people, want to connect to community as well. As you say, what they feel is what the farmer feels and what the product feels. So I think that, it's all about building community around food. Because food is universal. We all eat 3 times a day if we're lucky to be able to eat 3 times a day. And I think that it brings that whole sense of community together. It's a one way to create community. And through slow food, we find that we find the ways to include all members of community, whether, they come to the earth market, or whether some of the excess produce from the farms in the earth market is able to use in another one of our projects, which obviously deals with the food waste, not only on the farms, but, elsewhere as well. And there's a way of connecting. But ultimately, everything comes back to whether we can produce food here locally and then not waste it, utilize it in the best way with great pride and joy, really, because food is all about joy and enjoyment, and just feeling value in it. So I think that's really, really a beautiful, beautiful thing to be doing.
In the Hunter Valley, you're still classified as region, and there's so much that the region has to offer. And it's still close to Newcastle, so people from Newcastle can go out to the regions and feel like they're in a farming community. And I think that what you're doing as Slow Food is so important for that cohesiveness and connectedness, and seeing how it actually does go from farm to market to plate.
Yeah, so the connections are all, it's lovely to be able to connect the dots. I mean, up in the Upper Hunter, of course, Singleton, for example, there's a beautiful group of slow food people too up there who are doing similar work. They started off as rescuing a lot of food. That was citrus particularly that was being grown. And they've created community through food as well. And bringing that together through Seed Library. So we've both got seed libraries, and our seed libraries are springing up all through the Hunter Valley with seeds that have provenance for, growing food right here. So while we've got a market, we've got, rescuing food waste, there's that connection to that everybody has the opportunity to grow food in their backyard with seeds that have come from this region. So the Hunter Valley, we've got this really beautiful way of utilising what's here to sort of create more food production. And food production means food security as well.
Slow Food Hunter Valley has a lot of fingers in different pies. Excuse the pun. But you've got the Earth Market, you've got the heritage seeds for the seed libraries, and then you mentioned before that you've got the food rescue kitchen. How does that fit in with the whole slow food principles?
Well, the access to good, clean and fair food. So if we understand that everyone has a right to good, clean and fair food, the food rescue kitchen operates to it started off as eliminating food waste at the farm gate, but it's developed into a way where about 35 to 40 volunteers come together each week to take that produce and convert it into restaurant quality, high value meals that then get given to the members of the disadvantaged members in our community. So that way, we're utilising what may go to waste, but is still of excellent quality into something that's nutritious and of value to people who may not be able to cook food, who may be homeless, who are disadvantaged in some way, who can't afford that sort of quality food. We cook that and we distribute it. So currently we're doing about 12,000 meals a year to 5 charities just here in Maitland. We extend that also to another program called Phil, which is Food is Life, with communities with a community organisation in Woodbury, where we purchase the excess from the farm, fresh food, and make it available to the community once a week as free food to be distributed in the community, because not everyone can afford to purchase the absolute, fresh seasonal food from, so this is a way where our organisation can work with the farmers to take some of that excess and then distribute to those in need. Because if we are able to make that available, it means that people are eating it, they're learning how to use it. Our volunteers, now there we work in conjunction with Rotary Sunrise here in Maitland to come together to make available fresh fruit, fresh vegetables to those in the community. So we produce the meals, which is one part of the project, but the other is actually what I feel is much even a more important project, because we are able to teach people about, what do you do with an eggplant? I've never eaten eggplant, so here's a new vegetable. And we're increasing the biodiversity on their plates as well. So it's a really beautiful symbiotic way that all our projects sort of link to be able to deliver changes in what people are eating. And, they're all small changes, but I think they're high value changes.
I can see that the philosophy of slow food has definitely been embedded in all of your projects. And I know that, like, across the globe, slow food movements each have their own different strengths in what slow food means to their local community, because that's one of the values of slow food, isn't it? Like, you can bring it right down to that local grassroots level. And as you mentioned before, you've got a stack of volunteers.
We are so lucky to have volunteers. I mean, the community, I think because people feel, because it's grassroots, you can come in and chop vegetables all day. I mean, there were 8 people out there today chopping vegetables on a Tuesday. So, I mean, there is some joy in that, because they know that is part of the menu that will be produced at the end of the week. We have heaps of people who volunteer to simply set up the earth market, because they know that to make it easy for the farmers to just come in, bump into the earth market with no effort, where everything is set up for them in a very sort of public space, that they can just come in and bump in, sell their produce and walk away, and the volunteers will put it all back together again. And this is the strength of volunteers who feel part of the community. They feel that they are doing something really worthwhile. And they know the farmers appreciate it and the community appreciates it. So I think we've been incredibly lucky to have this group of about 75 volunteers who each give about 2 to 4 hours a week to just deliver these amazing projects that help the community. So I think we feel it's very worthwhile and very rewarding to be involved in this slow food movement.
Absolutely. And food is the joining force. You can enjoy it by yourself, but it's way better when you enjoy it with other people.
Yeah, and that's one way. And I think when people discuss food, and they're able to share a recipe, or they're able to tell a story about a success or a failure or whatever, I think it just makes us all human. To be, we're all consuming food for life, and when we have those stories that maybe even connect to our past, to our own cultural heritages, to our senior citizens, who might share a story about their journey with a particular food that has come from the region, or they light up because they see something they haven't seen for a long time, suddenly there as well. So I think that, food is just such a beautiful connector. It just brings memories and makes new memories as well.
What's your food story?
Oh, my food story is I grew up in Sri Lanka, where in a family of great cooks. I learned to cook from my mother from a very, very early age. I remember sitting in a kitchen which had an open hearth, and just having my own miniature pots. It was the same to my mother's. They were earthenware. We bought them at a fair, and just, Mum going, okay, well, I'm doing this, and, you can have these little bits that can go in your pot. And I'm, so grateful for the incredible flavours, just eating such a variety of incredible food, and bringing that food culture with me to Sri Lanka, to Australia. I've been here a long time now, so I've cooked many Sri Lankan dishes for many people, and I still love cooking it. So for the first 10 years when I migrated in 1979, I didn't cook any Sri Lankan food because I wanted to immerse myself in the Australian food culture, and bought many cookbooks. And I think my first cookbook was the Women's Weekly Dinner Party cookbook, and learned to make lasagna and meatballs, and just, doing roasts and learning techniques that I'd never been exposed to. And then after 10 years, I realised that I'd immersed myself in this Australian food culture. I was able to understand it, and I really crave spice. So, yes, and the chili and all of that. So I just went back to, and now I obviously cook a mixture of it. And I used to teach in community schools, like at WEA and all of those community colleges, because people would say, "Can you teach us to cook?" So I just, they'd enrolled in a course that I was running, and then later on, I went back to TAFE and gave up my corporate career, became a chef, and continue to now cook food that people, in cafes, restaurants, etc. But still, really, my real heart is in my Sri Lankan cooking, which I just adore and love eating.
Yeah, food is totally embedded in you, isn't it?
Totally.
Thank you for your passion for food, and then bringing that into such a volunteer grassroots movement of slow food. It certainly has made a difference in the community. So thank you.
Thank you very much for being interested in it.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the ReNewy Living Podcast. I hope you're feeling more confident about taking a localised and actionable approach to living sustainably. If this episode has inspired you to take simple action, please follow the ReNewy Living podcast so you can catch every episode. We'd love it if you could share this episode with your friends. It's a great way to spread the word and help more people join the conversation about living sustainably. You can even send me an email with the episode that really made it for you. Hearing your positive actions for change helps me understand how these stories work within our shared communities. Head over to my website, renewyliving.com.au, for the show notes and blog posts from this episode. I look forward to sharing more stories from the people of Newcastle as we delve into our community's diverse social and environmental practices for positive planetary change from a localised perspective.